Hello and welcome to Backlog Barging, the show where I go through some stuff on my backlog.
No way!
Anyway, with the obvious out of the way, let's get on with the video. Simplicity can usually help with accessibility to any kind of media for most people. With most menus or user interfaces, that's usually a good thing. However, when it comes to entertainment, complexity seems to be favored over simplicity, because it appears to have more depth. However, the two things on my backlog that I will cover today are very simple at their core, but that's truly the beauty of it. 2D platformers have, for the most part, been simplistic. The best of the platformers usually have great level design as a highlight to complement the gameplay itself. And quite possibly the best of the best I think I've ever played has got to be Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. The level design improves on most other games that only explore one idea per level, but here, at least two ideas are explored in a single level, so to reach an amazing climax at the end. And the fact that I don't want to showcase any of the endings should really say something about how good these levels really are. The aesthetics of the levels are also a standout here. Typical platformer tropes are usually turned into creative ideas. In a normal type of desert level, you know what to expect, but here it's a lush African-inspired grassland with changes to the world. This amazing approach to design is everywhere and kept the game exciting and magical to me. And then Juicy Jungle hit me with the most creative level ideas, and it hit me with really difficult levels. I don't care if I'm just bad at games. The first 3 levels were so difficult, I think I lost about 38 lives. So when I got to Funky Kong's shop, I felt relieved. Take my money, you hip chimp. While I'm on the subject of Funky Kong, I might as well go over the other sidekicks. Diddy Kong is back from returns, and he's mostly the same, just with a little boost underwater to help with quick escapes. It's kind of fun with a little boost considering the pace of most water levels. I mean, they're good and relaxing, and they don't do the whole jumpy, they're just a bit slow. However, Diddy's abilities are trumped over by the other two characters. Dixie Kong feels like she is way too overpowered. Her hairspin makes you go upwards, serving as a double jump, and her underwater ability makes her practically a motor, which is the best movement boost you could have ever asked for in a water level. And now we get to my personal favorite sidekick in the game, Cranky. His underwater ability is pretty mediocre, but his ground movement absolutely dominates any other kind of mobility. This is mainly coming from a guy who's finished Shovel Knight and played a bit of Hollow Knight, so this kind of bouncing movement has always been appealing. But in this game, it's so simple to pull off, making the movement feel amazing. In conclusion, Diddy's okay at best, Dixie's overwhelmingly useful, and Cranky Kong's the most fun. If I had to give you an idea of how my usual experience with the levels would go, it would be something like this. Gee, these levels sure are fun and creative.
What do you expect me to do? Just die?
But even with these difficult parts, I really enjoyed my time playing through it. So I'd like to recognize that by going over some of my personal level highlights. Horntop Hop is creative with its use of musical instruments and falling leaves. I love the concept itself and the laid-back feel of the whole thing. Minecart levels in general were always a good time. Special shoutouts go to Sawmill Thrill. Actually, just most of the levels in Autumn Heights were really good. Cannon Canyon was really unique and fun with cannon timing, a relatively minor thing in other levels, but it's brought to the forefront for some really creative and fun times. Those are the only levels I really want to cover because there are so many good ones that I just can't spoil for you. Unfortunately, the time with this creative marvel doesn't go for as long as one might hope. The levels are long due to how many ideas each one has, but a lot of the time I was able to get through them due to the balance achieved with the difficulty. It's fair and somewhat forgiving, but challenging as well. I haven't really gotten to the secret levels yet, which take up a considerable amount of the game to make collecting and discovering new exits worthwhile rather than feeling pointless. This is honestly my only critique because it feels like we could have done with more main levels, but I think when I find the secrets, it won't be so bad in the end. My last bit of praise goes to the music. Right before I got my hands on Tropical Freeze, I was listening to the Diddy's Conquest OST a lot. I can safely say that this game's score is wonderful and might as well surpass the previous classics. David Wise's return is not something to look over. He managed to give her so many styles and ideas while still sounding close to the Donkey Kong Country style we all know and love. The wide variety of instruments and music is really a treat for your ears. All hail the new OST king. If you really enjoy the classics though, there's still plenty of remixes, especially when it comes to the underwater levels. So I think no matter what kind of Donkey Kong Country fan you are, this game will have something for you. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze might just be my favorite 2D platformer for a good reason. Its simplicity was only deception for the great level design and creativity on display to be accompanied with a great score. As of now, it's the best 2D Nintendo branded platformer, period. Thank you, Retro Studios. Simplicity may lead to a lot of creativity and vivid ideas, but sometimes pieces of media can be beautiful with minimalism. And there's one prime anime example. Girls Last Tour is the most basic and simple looking anime in terms of potential creative color use. The color palette is very desaturated and lifeless. The backgrounds are mainly dominated by grays and whites. It's practically lifeless, but that's the point. The show is set in an apocalyptic aftermath. The two main protagonists are young children trying to learn about the past and the world itself. There are very few characters met along the way. I think there were only 2 other humans met throughout. The point is to highlight what the girls two experience as they survive in the desolate place. Despite the bleak nature of the show, the tone is hopeful and peaceful, capturing a youthful outlook on the world. In every episode, some new location is found or something is learned. In the case of the lifeless world, every new discovery has meaning and weight to help the girls understand an idea, learn about the past, or discover something unique. Things feel so important in this show, and the weight carried with it was surprisingly immense. No episode was really pointless. This is the genius of the show, using the bleak atmosphere to make things feel so important. Other shows that handle the apocalypse in my eyes try to take a desperation approach to keep things tense, but here, it's completely calm. The aftermath is never really thought about, and this take shows the other side to the potential end of a world or civilization. The aftermath. Lack of humans means the lack of hatred or conflict. I think Girls Last Tour is a show that is worth your time, but there may be some detractors for you. 1. The art style. It's moe, so if you don't like this cutesy things, you might not like this. And the term moe blob is a physical thing that sometimes is applied to the animation. The show doesn't rely on cute things to drive it forward, but there's just occasional scenes of you being stupid or angry. And then this scene. It's not a crime, I swear! Also, the show is a slice of life, and considering the mainstream part of anime is usually rooted in action shows, it's understandable if this isn't your cup of tea. I'd say give it a shot with 1 episode or 2, and then make your decision. Don't expect any beautiful fight scenes or any of that here. The show's runtime is also pretty short, 13 episodes, but that works for me. If you're into longer shows too, maybe give this a pass. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2, but that really doesn't matter to me. In conclusion, Girls Last Tour is a great show that was left to the wayside by big hitters of its year. Its lack of complexity lets other pieces of it stand out in a natural and beautiful way. It uses the setting to justify the action of each episode. The melancholic soundtrack is beautiful and adds to the atmosphere all around. It's nothing grandiose, but that simplicity makes it easy to understand and absolutely beautiful. If you're scared off from anime due to how much of a commitment it is, as well as action shows and complexity scaring you away, give this one a shot. It's a marvelous alternative. It may be a show that will be forgotten due to what other shows came out in 2017, but for me, it survives and thrives as a beautiful slice of life.